We're going to do some speaker introductions. I'm going to go over the Affordable Care Act. We're going to go in some depth in some different kind of coverage types that are available to you. I'll go into a little bit about the partnership and what you could get out of the partnership and what we're offering through the partnership. I'll go over who is eHealth, and like I said at the end, I'll demo the website so that you'll have a good idea. If you go to the website, what you'll see and all the knowledge and things that you can pick up there. So let me just go to the next slide. So again, my name is Nathan Teeter. I've been with eHealth for about 11 years now, just over 11 years actually. And I've been in the industry for almost 20 years, helping in the individual market and health insurance market. I manage at eHealth all of the individual and family sales team, as well as the customer care and the enrollment team. All right into the good stuff here, the Affordable Care Act. So prior to 2014, insurance companies weren't real regulated on, there was some regulation, but not too much on what they had to provide as health insurance plans. So people with pre-existing conditions could have their rates go up if they had it with a questionnaire. They could be denied health insurance. And then there's just some services that were not even covered. So with the Affordable Care Act, there were some things that came about in 2014, the individual and small group plans on the exchange and off the exchange, they must include essential health benefits, who are generally services and items in the following 10 categories. So every plan that's offered through the ACA now, any plan, major medical plan that's offered in America, has to have hospitalization, emergency room services, laboratory services, maternity and newborn care. They have to have the mental health, substance abuse disorder services, and behavioral health treatments. Prescription drugs are also covered on every single plan, habilitative and rehabilitative services and devices. Big one here is the preventative services and well services and chronic disease management. Also that falls under this is something new with the COVID that happened this year. All the testing for COVID under every plan is now covered under the preventative measures, so you don't pay a dime for the testing for COVID. Ambulatory and patient services, and then pediatric services, including dental and vision care for kids. So those are just some of the things. Prior to 2014, there was no limit, or there was no there was limitations on how much the insurance companies had to cover too. Most of the plans only covered up to $2 million. And so with the Affordable Care Act now, once you've met your out-of-pocket limit and you've hit your policy max, that insurance companies now have to cover an unlimited amount of money. So that's another difference that we saw with it. Also, again, no pre-existing conditions. They have to cover you for everything. Which also brings us to another thing. They also created the 4 metallic levels of coverage, and they put them in categories. And the key differences between the metallic plans is the expected percentage of medical expenses shared between the health plan and the member. And so at the top here, they made 4 different levels. Platinum, of course, being the most expensive type of plan, but it also has the most coverage right off the bat. So an individual who would pick a Platinum plan would see about 10% of the healthcare costs out of their pocket. A Gold plan, the insurance company would cover 80% of the cost. You'd be responsible for 20%. Silver plans, 70%, insurer 30%, and then Bronze, 60%, the insurer 40%. One thing to note about every metallic level is that there is an annual out-of-pocket limit. So no matter if it's 10%, 20%, 30%, or 40%, once you hit that out-of-pocket limit, your percentage stops, and then the insurance company's on the hook for 100% after that. So that's just one thing to note here. These are all metallic levels, but there is that limit for your out-of-pocket. Also with the Affordable Care Act, because everyone is guaranteed coverage, they had to make what's called an open enrollment period, so that keep from people buying insurance after they came up with a condition. It'd be like getting in a car accident and then going out and buying car insurance after your car and a car accident. So to prevent that, they made open enrollment periods, and that's from November 1st of every year to December 15th. And so that's when anyone, for any reason, if they want to shop and compare plans, they can switch to any plans they want. If we're outside of that open enrollment period, an individual has to experience what we call a qualifying life event. Okay, and a qualifying life event, it's set up in 4 categories. And the first category is a loss of health coverage, and losing existing health coverage, including job-based, individual, student plans, or plans to meet credible coverage. So it's an intentional loss of coverage, or something that, like if you stop paying your premiums, that isn't considered a QLE. Something has to occur for you to lose your health insurance with that one. So changes in household size is another one. Getting married or divorced, having a baby, or adopting a child. Also death in the family. That's another category that allow you to have 60 days in order to purchase an insurance plan. Changes in residence, that would be like moving to a different zip code or county. If you're moving within the same county or zip code, that isn't considered a qualifying life event. But if it's moving outside of the zip code, even if it's in the same state or city, that is a qualifying life event. Student moving to or from a place where they attend school. Seasonal workers moving to or from the place where they both live and work. And of course, moving to from shelter or other transitional housing. Other qualifying life events could be changes in your income that affect the coverage you qualify for. A good example of that is like Medicaid. Those are where if you start making more money or something, you could lose that state-based program, which would give you a QLE in order to go out and pick another plan. Gaining membership in a federal recognized tribe or status, as an Alaska Claim Settlement Act. That's also a qualifying life event. Becoming a U.S. citizen, and then leaving incarceration, jail or prison. American Corps members starting or ending their services. And then I put down here, COVID-19 was also one. It was recognized by most of the insurance carriers and state exchanges this year as a qualifying life event. Unfortunately, healthcare.gov didn't recognize that, but most of the insurance companies off the exchange or outside of healthcare.gov did. And then one thing to note about qualifying life events, you have a 60-day window, and only a 60-day window, in order to get a new health insurance plan. If that time goes by, then you do have to wait till open enrollment. So just one thing to note there, that's a 60-day period for qualifying life event. If we're during open enrollment, November 1st through December 15th, you do not need a qualifying life event for a major medical plan. All right, the other thing that came along with the Affordable Care Act were subsidies and credits. There is no longer a penalty for not having health insurance, except for 5 states that have a state-based program: California, New Jersey, Colorado, New York, and Washington. Those states have their own state-based, and they do actually still charge for not having insurance. But as far as the federal government, they do not, and all the carriers and plans that are on the federal exchange and off the exchange that don't have a state-based, there is no penalty for not having insurance. So the subsidies and credits I wanted to go into a little bit because that was also introduced with the Affordable Care Act. And an average, so families earning less than 400% of the federal poverty level. So if you're making less than $49,600 on the average per year for a single person, or $103,000 for a family of 4, you may qualify for a subsidy. Again, this varies by county, by state, and by the insurance plans that are offered to you, but this is on the average of what we're seeing across the country. The graph below really is just an example of some of those things. So you can see with the annual income and how that determines how much. It's kind of just a graph there of the approximates at each level. All right. One other thing I wanted to point out, speaking of qualifying life events and then open enrollment period, Cassie brought up this, and I wanted to make sure we talked about it a little bit also. There are other forms of health insurance to assist if you don't have a qualifying life event until open enrollment period. And they all are short-term plans. They're not available in all states. So it is regulated by the states on short-term plans. The unfortunate side of the short-term plans is they do not have they do have pre-existing clauses. So if you have a pre-existing, they won't cover those. And you do have to go through medical underwriting, so they could be denied. And they do have limits on the amount that they pay out, but they are available to you if you should occur a loss of health insurance or don't have any health insurance and don't have a qualifying life event. It's kind of to bridge the gap. It's more of along the lines of like a car insurance or something where it's there to cover catastrophic events, critical illnesses, or an unforeseen accident. All right. Our partnership. So VIB Kid has partnered with eHealth to offer insurance for individuals like you. We can help you find affordable coverage nationwide from many insurance carriers. New to shopping for health insurance, people who already have plans. You know, this time of the year, especially with November around the corner, it's always good to look at what you have and reassess if there's anything better out there. If you're thinking about making a life change or significant other or family change, it's always a good time to look. And you'll be handled with white glove service because of the partnership, meaning that throughout your whole policy, we have, again, I manage the whole department. So we see you through the whole process. So not only is it when it comes time to help get an insurance plan, but we'd also help because of the partnership, making changes or anything like that as the life of your policy there. And then let me just tell you a little bit about eHealth. So we're actually the largest broker online in the US. We do not charge you anything to use our website, nor to pick up the phone and call to a licensed agent or chat with any of them. All of our agents are unbiased. We're not owned by an insurance company. And the prices are federally regulated. So whether you go through eHealth or you go directly to the insurance carrier, there is no additional cost put on to you. We've been doing this for over 20 plus years at eHealth and now serving over 5 million customers. We have over 200 carriers across the country, and our online applications are really easy to understand and to complete. It only takes about 10 minutes with most of the plans there to fill out an application. Should we open it up for questions before the demo, or would you like me to just do the demo?
I think we have a few questions that I'll just point out and see if other people have questions, and then we can go through the demo. So you covered it a little bit.
That'd be great.
Yeah, you covered a little bit about like the advantage and disadvantage for short-term plans. But if you want to switch, like say from a short-term plan to a long-term plan, do you like cancel it first? What's like a recommended procedure?
No, that's an excellent question. So we recommend never canceling anything prior to getting another health insurance plan. So the health insurance or the short-term plans, as well as major medical, are on a month-to-month basis. So you're not locked into any contracts or early closure fees. So you can cancel them at any time. But we would never recommend canceling anything unless you've reviewed what you got and make sure that there's no gap in between plans for sure.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Is there a limit for like the deductibles for each level when we talked about like the bronze level all the way to platinum level?
There is, and that's where those cost bases come out, and they adjust every year and by the carrier and by the plan. And so there is set limits, but they adjust. So it depends on the plans that are offered in your area and where you live in the insurance carriers. So they do vary from thing to thing. That was just an illustration on the cost to you and those different levels, but the deductibles, co-pays, co-insurance, and out-of-pocket limits could vary in all of those as well.
Okay. You also mentioned that there's a 60 days limit for switching plans due to a major life event. So does moving back from like a foreign country to the US counts as like a major event for switching plans?
Oh, yes. So So yes, that's definitely, so moving to or from or in or out of the country, that is definitely a qualifying life event.
Okay. So there's this question from Megan. I just see. Okay. What if my kids have coverage through CHIP, but my husband and I have no insurance? Do the program work for just the Hayden and I to find one? I think
Correct.
that,
Yeah.
okay.
So you can, yeah, no, that's a great question. So yeah, you can shop for just one family member, two family member, whatever you'd like to do. If the kids already have CHIP, then yeah, by all means, there's different programs that you can get on for just you and your husband.
Okay. There are people who says that they don't stay in the U.S. 100% of the time throughout the year. For those situations, would a short-term plan be a better solution than like a long-term plan?
Yeah, so it depends. So that may be a good solution. We also refer, if there's a lot of travel, just depending on the time duration that you're in the States. There's a great company out there that we refer some of our clients to, or even to anybody, is sevencorners.com. That's a travel insurance type of thing that you can use in pretty much all countries. But if we usually refer them, it depending on the length of time, to them to look into that as well.
Okay. And there's also a question asking about what are the ways to apply for subsidy? I think there's a slide you talked about, like there's help available.
Yes. I mean, that's a great question. I should have hit on that. So it depends on the state that you live in. So there's some state-based programs, but most of the states are on the federal market exchange. That's done through us at eHealth. So we participate in California State Exchange. That's the only state exchange. But we also do the healthcare.gov. So we can assist. You can also just go directly to your state-based thing or to healthcare.gov directly as well.
Okay. So the pricing for each product, is it based on the previous MAGI, or like what's the pricing based on?
Yeah. So
I'm
that's
sorry.
a great question. Yeah. So it's adjusted gross income is basically what it comes down to. And I'll use an example. So if we're applying for a plan in November with a subsidy, then we use 2020. When open enrollment, your adjusted gross income for 2020. If you're looking for 2021, so if you're shopping through November 1st during open period to December 15th, then we have to estimate what that's going to be for 2021. So we always caution our individuals that are going that route that if you do come into money or income or lose income, you want to call and make sure that you adjust that so that at the end of the year, you don't have to pay back some of that if you start making more. So it's always a good idea if you do. It's really simple to pick up the phone and just call. They can adjust it for you, adjust your premiums. But that's a great question. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay. So what are the things that I should look into or, keep an eye out if I'm trying to have a child, trying to get pregnant or adopt one?
Yeah. No, that's a great question. So usually when you're having a child, that means you're going to be hospitalized, giving birth most of the time. And so the cost of that, so just to give you some numbers out there, a typical birth of a child with no problems is about $20,000 to $30,000. If there is complications, they start at around 100,000 sometimes if we're going to C-sections and things like that. So always good to look at maybe a higher, like the platinums or golds, or even a silver if you're comfortable with a little higher deductible, because you're going to probably meet that in that year. So that's a great question. But the good thing about every plan that's out there is all the prenatal, all the immunization shots, all the preventative stuff is all covered 100% no matter what plan you choose under the Affordable Care Act plans.
Okay. There's this question. I've been through healthcare.gov once because of something, and they forced me to try to get Medicaid through the state first. That's not like a really pleasant like experience. So when going
Correct.
through eHealth, something like this happen?
So we don't force you to go anywhere at eHealth. I'll just make that it's ultimately your decision, and we're here to guide you along the way. But so the way that it works with the Affordable Care Act is if you're under that level, you will get automatically sent to Medicaid. But if you don't qualify for Medicaid, if Medicaid says sorry, That is a qualifying life event. Even if the 15th passes, if you say you can't get Medicaid, you can come back and actually apply for a subsidy and go through the other way. The tricky thing with that is some states, their Medicaid, they didn't raise it to meet the federal government. So there is sometimes a gap in between subsidies and Medicaid. And so unfortunately, those individuals, they don't get any assistance. We call it kind of like the black hole, and we have to find other ways to find affordable health insurance for them.
Okay, and this is a very interesting question. So it's like eHealth is super nice. You're helping people to select plans, and you don't charge me extra. How do you how do you make money? Like how do you stay in business? It's like a generic how do insurance companies.
That is a great question.
Okay.
So actually, the insurance companies built into their premiums when you purchase a plan, what they pay us or any broker that's out there. So that's already in the premiums. So if you go directly to insurance carrier, you're actually not taking advantage what you're fully paying for, because it's the same price no matter where you go through us or if you go directly through them. So they've already included that in your monthly premium, with no matter if you go directly to the insurance carrier or if you come to eHealth or another broker or state exchange. It's all set by law, those prices.
Okay.
So we make our money through that. It's already built in.
So is there like a dental plans for adults, short to long term through eHealth?
Yeah.
I believe.
Oh yes,
so,
definitely.
Yeah.
So when you come to eHealth, there's vision, dental, major medical, short-term plans. There's all kinds of different things that are available to you. And dental plans, they're almost all on a month-to-month basis. There are some plans that do have a yearly contract, and that's because they provide immediate service. So you can get dental work or something right away. So the ones that do have some waiting periods sometimes on major dental work.
Okay. This question is very specific. So my husband gets a housing allowance for his job. Do I count the housing allowance in calculating our gross income or insurance cost calculation?
That's a great question. So if you're paying taxes on the money that's given to you is the easiest way, because I just had a question about, I sold my house. Does that go? If you're paying taxes on the money, then it is considered taxable income and has to go under that adjusted gross income. But that's a great question.
I think for now, that's all the questions. If there's no more questions, I think we can go ahead, jump into the demo part.
Okay.
Okay, I think we can start the demo. Okay. And if we missed any question, we're welcome to just type it in again. And if we have time after the demo, we will try to address those questions. And stage is yours.
All right. Let's see here. All right, can everybody see my screen here? All right. So when you type in www, eHealth insurance, whether you Google it or anything, it'll have you land on this page. And I just want to point out a couple of things here. We have the nice header about COVID, things like that. There's all kinds of drop downs that you can learn. There's a whole education part about Medicare, individual, and small business. So at eHealth, we do all lines of health insurance. We do small group, individual and family, and Medicare. If you already were with us, you'd sign in here. And of course, you can always contact us. There's also some informative videos down here and some other things. But the main thing is here that I wanted to show is just how to shop for health insurance. So when you come, there's a drop down here. You can do Medicare, individual, small business, short-term. Obamacare coverage is the same as individual and family, but we put that because some people don't recognize the difference that they're the same thing. So we put that just for those who, so we'll just click individual and family. We'll hit continue shopping. And it's remembering me from another time. So I'm going to go back here so you guys can see it. Let me open another incognito screen here. Cookies remembered me. All right. So we'll just go through this. So when it'll ask for your demographics. It'll ask for your zip code. It'll ask for your family size. And then it'll ask you what you'd like to shop for. I just clicked on individual plans here. Wanted to show some of the things. It's kind of neat, the filters that you can do. They have 34 plans, but if you click this thing here, you can actually get it down to, if you're shopping for a specific deductible type, monthly cost. If you're only interested in a specific company, that's here as well. You can do medical visits, office visits. So there's quite a lot of different ways to sort these things. I usually go from low to high, or you can do your deductibles from low to high just to see what they cost. And then you can sort through under any plan that you see, you can click on more details and it'll give you a brief summary of that plan. And then you can get even more details if you want on a specific plan. It'll take you all the way into this, and it goes really in depth. And it also has a plan brochure and summary of benefits for every single plan that's available to you there. Another thing I'd like to show you is that there's a a compare feature, and you can do up to 4 plans. So I'll just pick this plan here. And this is really cool too if you're having if you wanted to kind of put them side by side to see what may be the best for you. Pick that one there. Let's get a silver one in here. And then we'll do a bronze. So you can pick and then actually view them side by side to see the differences. At any point, if you want to save your results and come back later, you can also do that. Phone number to contact anybody if you have questions. There's chat feature that's available too. I turn that off just because it pops up into my screen and it gets in the way of things, but there's also a chat feature that comes up. But as you can see, you can look at these plans side by side and look at the benefits across the board here. So it's kind of a neat tool to be able to compare side by side. So that's pretty, and under any of these things that you go to also, I'll just pick plan details. There's a pretty good description about what everything stands for, which is nice also when trying to make a decision. There's also this thing up here I wanted to point out. It talks about open enrollment, and it also goes through life-changing events here. So that's also just a reminder on some life-changing events we talked about if you had questions on any of those. And then also I wanted to show you guys. All right, so this is what you'll see when you land on our website. It starts asking you about this. This is what I wanted to tell you guys earlier, and then your demographics. It also then asks about annual income. So that's the subsidy portion of it. If you click yes here, it'll take you on a different route to look. So it'll ask unsubsidized plans, but if you want to see if you qualify, you click on that. And this calculator is updated continuously. We use a company called Health Sherpa, and they are continually updating that. So that's always right up to date in your county. So here's the ages. Continue on this. It asks again, how many people are in your tax household? So one thing I want to clarify about your tax household, that's anybody that's on your, that you claim as a dependent on your income tax. So if somebody's living with you, but you don't claim them on your tax returns, you would not include them as your household. It's not the physical house that who lives under the roof, it's who's on your tax return. So that's something that people ask commonly. I just wanted to bring that up. And then this is, again, your estimated household income for 2020. This will switch on November 1st to say 2021. So let me just put this in here. Also, one thing I wanted to point out is that you do not include the government stimulus income that came with COVID, or the stimulus package that came out. They're not considering that income. So you do not have to include that when you're calculating this. All right, so there's 39 plans. It says my income's a little too high to qualify. So I'm gonna drop that down just to show you guys what it would look like. All right. So this says I saved $270 a month off if I had 85,000 family of 3 in that zip code. Because we're in the special enrollment, of course, it asks me these questions as November 1st. This all goes away, so you don't have to answer these. And then they ask you what's your use of health insurance. So it's got low, medium, and high. I'm just going to go click continue. And I want to compare all 39 plans. So you can see here that it's taking the cost right off. So we're showing you exactly what your premium payment would be for your whole family if you were to pick this plan. So what it's done is it's take that dollar amount, subsidy, right off the premium amount. So if you click enroll, it could adjust once you put in your income, but these are pretty much right on from just that initial estimate. And then when you wouldn't want to decide, you would just click on enroll now. So that's the subsidy way. I also want to show you guys just some of the other things here. I'm sure there's questions now. Did you want me to stop and answer some questions? I know I might be going a little quick. All right, so if you wanted to look at dental or vision plans, somebody had a question earlier about that. That's both right here. And the short-term health insurance as well. If you click on find your dental plan, it'll just make sure your dates of birth again, your zip code. And then here are all the dental plans as well. And of course, you can sort on the side also the company, if you want to look at a specific company, cost, deductibles. There's also the featured plans and best sellers. So you can sort quite a few different ways. Again, this works just like the health insurance part. So if you wanted to compare some plans, you could do that and hit compare. Or if you wanted to find a dentist, you could do that here, or just the plan details. And it'll give you all the plan details as well here, along with the plan brochure. And you can also add these things to your cart. So if you wanted to look at a health insurance plan and add it to your cart, you hit apply to add it, and then you can shop for dental, add it to your cart. And in the end, you could actually check out with the different things that you'd like to have. So that's basically good demo there of what the website provides.